don't know how to do that. So that's where I come in, and I keep your emotions, and I deal with your emotions over here. But when it comes time for business, I implement what you told me on the emotion side into handling it in a professional manner.
Glenn Martin of New York City. As a longtime real estate executive for Christian & Wakefield, Glenn had the foresight years ago to know what Brooklyn could become, and he played an important role in the renaissance of our thriving world. In addition, Glenn was a key player in helping to found King's future HSS Training Center, location in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Glenn also gives back to the community as the founder of Brooklyn 1834, which provides a forum for the world's up-and-coming artists. Due to illness, Glenn could not be here tonight. He's fighting his illness with the same determination that he's used to make Brooklyn a better place. Glenn is represented tonight by his wife Jan and his children Theo and Edie. Please join SW24 Security Solutions.
Recorded off-air transmissions from the Bush-Clinton presidential election campaign in the 1990s, we can see that Bill Clinton was nothing more than a puppet to the puppet masters which placed him in the White House. Bill Clinton's demeanor seems to be similar to a person who is under a hypnotic trance.
In Russia as well as in the West, research has been underway for many years in biological synthesis, that is, artificial life forms. And according to high intelligence, a stunning breakthrough took place in Russia some years ago. The Russians refer to this breakthrough as a providential discovery, something they learned almost by accident. They discovered the key to creating what are known as organic robotoids. An organic robotoid is an artificial robot-like creature. It looks and acts exactly like a human being, and yet it is not human. A robotoid is alive in the biological sense, but it is an artificial life form. Robotoids respond to conventional routine medical tests in the same way as humans do. They eat, they drink, they breathe, they bleed if cut, and they can be killed. Robotoids can also think, but they think only in the sense that a computer thinks. Like any other computer, the brain of a robotoid has to be programmed for each assignment it is given. But unlike many electronic computers, the biological computer brain of a robotoid possesses an enormous memory. As a result, robotoids can be programmed to communicate and think in such complex patterns that they act human. Organic robotoids are remarkable creatures, but they have many drawbacks. They don't grow or reproduce, but must be manufactured one by one in the desired form. They also have a very limited lifespan, measured in months or even weeks, depending upon how they are utilized. This is due to the fact that their metabolism, while it resembles that of humans, is very inefficient. A robotoid can be manufactured on very short notice, a matter of hours. But after a few weeks or months, it suddenly begins to degenerate physically and mentally. When that takes place, the robotoid has to be removed from service and disposed of. To extend its useful life as much as possible, a robotoid is customarily cooled down to slow its metabolism between assignments. Organic robotoids are extremely expensive, troublesome creatures to produce and utilize. And robotoid capabilities do not exceed those of human beings. All they can really do is simulate human beings. But, my friends, for intelligence purposes, that's all they have to do. To produce an organic robotoid, it is necessary to have a pattern to go by. The pattern required is that of genetic coding, taken from a few cells from the body of a human being. In this respect, the Russian technique sounds like cloning, but the technique itself is totally unrelated to genuine cloning. A robotoid is produced within a matter of hours, and it simulates the human donor at his current age. Like any man-made copy of anything, a robotoid is never a perfect copy of the human that is to be simulated. There's always small discrepancies in appearance and behavior, but these are seldom great enough to arouse any suspicion. Last month, I revealed that the Russians can manufacture organic robotoids, which are almost exact carbon copies of real human beings. This is done by a process that simulates the genetic coding of the person to be copied. It sounds a little like cloning, but it's not. A clone of a human would itself be a human, but an organic robotoid is not human. It's an artificial life form, like an animal in some ways, but like a computerized machine in others.
The backside, Isaiah Thomas, but it's just going to be, they're going to give it a run, but, it's just going to be hard to beat the Cavs right now. I think they're on top of the game.
Yeah, I got to go with the majority. They're on a mission right now. I guess they want to show the public that last year wasn't a fluke for us. We're here, we're for real, and we're for real too.
Speaking of showing us, 2 Chainz, you got a shot, 2 Chainz? You got a shot, let me see that shot, dog. Speaking of showing us, 2 Chainz, got a shot. Speaking of showing us, 2 Chainz, you got. Speaking of showing us, 2 Chainz, you got a shot, 2 Chainz. Got a shot. Let me see that shot, dog.
Forever, he wants to get away from illness, hurt, anything that doesn't work the way it's supposed to. We have achieved that here. This is called the cortical stack. This cortical stack stores your memories, everything that makes you you, mannerisms, emotions you ever felt, people you know, anything, even your consciousness is stored on this device. We did not create this device, but we do use it to help our sleeves move. Sleeves are basically human bodies we grow in our labs. They're organically real. Bones, tissue, organs, everything. These are the best bodies you'll ever have, period. Nothing can hurt these bodies, but they are human. So if something were to happen to them, you can always change them out for a new one. That's why it says immortality becomes non-existent. Because you can be 50 in one body and change to the next body. You're as young as you feel. If you come this way, David's going to show you some 2018 models that you can choose from.
Well, you can choose which sleeve you desire. Now you can either have the sleeve that you have right now, or we have a selection of wonderful sleeves that we have made through Psychosec, fully genuine and organic produced. Now if you'd like to be taller, shorter, skinnier, if you'd like to have better vision, maybe strength in your body, you have the choice to choose a man or a woman's sleeve. Now if your sleeve becomes damaged or too old for your liking, simply remove from the cortical stack your DHF, your consciousness, to another, newer sleeve. Any questions?
Am I in a Banksy exhibit?
Excuse me?
Is this a Banksy exhibit?
This is Psychosec. We have the technology for you to achieve immortality. Now this is the final stage. Come right this way.
Hi guys. Psychosec. Now this is the final stage of the resleeving process. This is Joel. Now remember guys, Joel is made up of exactly what we're made of. Skin, bone, muscle, tissue, everything is in Joel. He still needs to have his nutrients. He still needs to breathe, okay? Just like we do on a day-to-day basis. But Joel is in an unconscious state. So his cortical stack is waiting for someone's mind to be needle casted into his cortical stack. So basically he's being prepped for one of your minds to be in his body. So come closer, get closer.
People of Australia and of our show, we were very empathetic about what happened and very sort of horrified. And so we were wondering, how is everyone going and how's Kim doing?
What? Okay.
I'm sorry, is there someone talking to you?
Yes, sorry.
Sorry about that. So I just was wondering how everyone's doing. Hello, Courtney, have we lost you?
Well, a very, very heavy debatation tonight. We had a very Darrison, let's go to Darrison, look for the bit, the head of the pit. We had a very Darrison, but let's go to Darrison, look for the bit.
Every Russian robotoid has what is called a holographic brain. This brain duplicates essentially the entire memory of a person being copied. The key to doing this is a new technique called an ultrasonic cerebral hologram. Using high-frequency sound waves, which are inaudible, a complete three-dimensional picture is made of a person's brain. This is a painless, non-destructive process, and under the proper conditions, it can be done without the person even being aware of it. Last month, I revealed that the Russians are using Nelson Rockefeller's hit list to weed out Bolsheviks here in America. And for roughly 3 years, they have been preparing for this day. They have been secretly making cerebral holograms of the people on the list at every opportunity. This has been done to every person on Rockefeller's list who has visited Russia or Eastern Europe in the past 3 years. When an organic robotoid is made to simulate, for example, our late President Jimmy Carter, 2 major factors are involved. One is the genetic coding required to simulate Carter's appearance, voice, fingerprints, and so on. The other is a holographic image of Carter's brain. This image is a complete record of the neuron patterns which existed in Carter's brain at the moment the hologram was made. Therefore, it contains all of the memory and knowledge Carter had up to that moment. When a Carter robotoid is made, the biological computer in its head is caused to form according to the holographic record of Carter's brain. However, certain portions of the robotoid computer are caused to deviate from the holographic record. The end result is a biological computer which has to be programmed, but which contains essentially all of Carter's memory, involuntary mannerisms, and the like. As a result, a Carter robotoid will automatically do certain kinds of things without the need for specific programming. For example, a Carter robotoid will seem to recognize old friends. That's because the computer memory of the robotoid reproduces Carter's memory of that friend. The holographic process puts it there automatically without the Russian programmers even having to know it's there. Organic robotoids are such amazing creatures that they are still a subject of questioning and debate. This is true even among the Russian scientists who made them a reality.
Al Roper, will someone do the junior high hug? It's like this. You gotta make it real awkward.
That's exactly how
you have to have a certain amount of distance between the bodies in junior high.
Yes, like they say in Catholic school, leave room for the Holy Ghost. Anyway, there is a lot of memories today, actually. It's a big day in music history.
35 years ago today, Elvis Presley passed away, the king of rock and roll, and as Mark Cohn says in his great song, Walking in Memphis, there's a...
For example, robotoids seem to have no true instinct for self-preservation. In this regard, they act like machines, simply doing as they are told to do.
Marshall Mathers. Some of you may know him as Eminem, but he's going to join the Saturday night crew with our music intro starting next Saturday night. But folks, I want to take you to the world premiere of one of his new videos called Berserk. Take a listen. It's headed for the top of the charts. Rick Rubin, who was helping produce that with you, Marshall, when you did that?
Yeah, sorry. Live TV.
But, oh my goodness, John Avalon.
He's a good man. Oh.
We had to show this picture. That's what I
Doing
said.
well. Long time. We've been friends for a long time. Life. We discussed it.
Money in 2020. Do you think that's something you still want to do in light of this meeting? Connie, are you considering performing at the inauguration? Connie, no comment about your meeting with the president-elect. This is the president-elect of the United States. Nothing to say?
I just want to take a picture right now.
Do you wish you were
By contrast, both humans and animals generally have the instinct for self-preservation. Robotoids can be programmed for self-preservation, but they are equally willing, if willing is the word, to perform suicide missions. Organic robotoids look and act so much like human beings that it's hard for us to get used to the idea that they are not human. But the Russians decided several months ago that the stakes are too high not to employ them. And so, the silent Russian invasion of America by robotoids is now well underway. As of now, the White House and Cabinet are under complete control by Russia. According to my latest intelligence report, only one member of the Carter Cabinet is still alive. All the rest, including the ad hoc Gang of Four, have been replaced by Russian robotoids. Likewise, the United States now has a Supreme Court made up of 9 Russian robotoids.
Stem cells a lot. Just a couple weeks back, we saw them used to build a new throat for a girl who was born without one. We've seen organs made in labs. Stem cells are at the forefront of regenerative medicine, and they are kind of poised to change everything. But there's still that classic stem cell problem. The most effective stem cells are embryonic, and harvesting cells from embryos is bogged down in a lot of legal and ethical debate. A team of biologists thinks that they've found a way around that, but it could actually put them in the center of more conflict. The team from Oregon Health and Science University made an embryonic clone of a human from a person's skin cells and donated eggs. Cloned human embryo. What? Then they harvested working stem cells from that embryo. The technique they used is called somatic cell nuclear transfer. It's the same way Dolly the sheep was made. Basically, the nucleus of a mature cell, in this case a fetal skin cell, is put into a human egg that's had its own nucleus taken out. And then they stimulate the egg and it starts to divide and grow. When it hits about 100 cells, which is called the blastocyst stage, it has a bunch of embryonic stem cells in it that scientists can harvest. The stimulating is the hard part. Coaxing an embryo to grow easily, consistently, and without complications has been the major roadblock holding SCNT back. So, how did the Oregon team make it work? Caffeine. Adding caffeine to the chemical mixture that they used to stimulate cells made them divide properly just about every time, which makes sense to me because I have always believed that caffeine was the secret to life. The cells they harvested from the embryos were able to be turned into everything they tried to recreate, including beating heart muscle cells. So wait, here's where the moral quandary comes in. Can we clone humans now? Would that embryo have developed into a person? The team says no. They are using techniques that they perfected on monkeys in 2007, and none of those embryos were able to survive into maturity. They say the human one wouldn't either, and they're going to publish a paper soon that explains exactly why the techniques they use would not work to advance human cloning. But an embryo is still an embryo, and under current laws, the team can't get government funding for embryonic stem cell research. And while the stem cells are versatile, more testing needs to be done to figure out if they are in fact more versatile than iPS stem cells, which are made just by reprogramming skin cells.
A good day to die.
But I suppose
suppose it's because you had kind of a good day, and if you would have died, well, so be it. Is that it?
That's right. That's a good explanation. Have a sandwich, and let's go shopping. Die hard.
That would have been at your chosen title.
Well, it's about, it makes about as much sense. A good, or maybe there is a good day to die hard.
Yeah. I'll tell you what.
You've had a rough year. You've had a year that would test a lot of people. Illness in the family. A breakup. This spasm of publicity about what happened from Mexico to London.
It was pretty rough, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Ah, weird. Hello. Oh my goodness. Hello. Ew, strong Brittany. Yeah, it was a weird time. Ew, I'm embarrassed. Can we stop?
If you go to Disney World, for instance, down there in the Haunted Mansion, you see the hologram, right? Oh, you know how to make a hologram. Well, our scientists have learned how to make people. They call them synthetics. Are you familiar with those?
Well, actually, we just interviewed John Lear, and he was talking about being in an audience in which they were given a lecture by a guy that they thought was real and found out later he was a hologram.
Well, it's a synthetic. A synthetics, when you touch their skin, it feels like plastic almost. That's the latest technique. The old techniques, if you guys can rent a video, the boys from Brazil, rent it, because in it, it gives you the exact way how our government's been making people.
Really?
Yeah,
well,
and the Soviets have a different method called...
I mean, making people meaning temporary people?
No, walking, talking ones.
Meaning through genetics? You're not talking about that?
Well, let me tell you, the movie shows it, but I'll share it with you right now.
All right.
All I need to do is take 2 cells off of your body, yours.
Uh-huh.
We give them a small electrical charge. I'm just they'll act like a fertilized egg. If I got a fertilized egg, all I need is a receiver in order to make it. So they were hypnotizing women, said they were being invaded by aliens. And the fetus starts growing, right? Needs food. Well, they can use cows and sheep, too. Again, a food source. That's all we need. After about 14 weeks, all of a sudden, that fetus is gone. Because they've learned to take, that's when the fetus starts developing its own blood supply. Then they've used a pituitary hormone extract that they have, which accelerates the being that grows. And the original technology was given to our government by the Greys. Now, the reason was that our scientists were all excited because we could have spare parts. If you need a heart or a liver or anything, you won't have any rejection. It's your own DNA, right?
Okay, because theoretically, if we have overpopulation, we don't need more people, right?
But the so-called elite are selecting on who they want to have around anyway, so if we want to keep people going as long as we can. I talked to the doctor that was working on regeneration of Castro, for instance.
Right.
On the DNA sequencing. And they're just learning about this.
Well, my understanding is that a lot of presidents have already been replaced.
That's right.
Yeah,
I don't think...
They're walking around, they look old, but they basically, some of the people are just
I'll
second,
give you
third
something
copies.
I'll give you something to ponder. Get some old videos of George Bush, when he first came into office. Look at the person and listen to him speak. Look at his actions and listen to everything that's there. Now, it's a lot easier to put somebody out in front to act as even Bush did. He had somebody else that was up there acting like he is and look like it. Even Hitler had he had his stand. In fact, his stand-in was the one that they found in the ground over in Germany. I mean, Hitler and Eva and the dog and 14 other people got aboard a plane and flew down to Barcelona, Spain. You were aware of that. And then ended up in Antarctica or in Swabenland and then died a few years ago in Brazil.
That's what we heard.
I have all the documents from our own government.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a contact, one of our
Stalin
contacts.
Stalin asked for they tried to burn the body and he got the body back and he said, wait a minute, different ears and the testicles were different and everything else. So they knew it wasn't Hitler.
But is it a clone or not?
Oh, now going about cloning. Cloning techniques, since 1938, they've been making clone people. There's 8 countries making clones. I have a doctor friend that all it does is treat the clones.
Where do you get your information?
I get it from some of the people that are willing to come forth, and they talk to me because they hope I'll put the information out because they always got 2 people following them and they may be killed. If I start talking about cloning too much, the people that get involved into that disappear on it. So I don't go into too many more details, but there is information that's available. And more and more of that's coming on the line. I just told you, go rent the movie.
Okay, Boys from Brazil.
Yeah, and you'll see the whole technique on what they show it to you in different places, so you can imagine what it's going on.
Okay, so...
Now, let's go to the next step, because this is the most important part.
All right.
If your physical reality that you have, based on this physical life that you have, this dream, is made up of the experiences that is impregnated on your body and in your mind, consciously, right? Mm-hmm. Your soul memory is another thing. It goes back whatever time that you elected to be in this incarnation for whatever reason. Now let's show you the division on these things. Since the body's very physical, and we just got you making a physical being in a few months for spare parts, they said, now we've got the perfect deal. How can we have that work better? Well, if you go to the hospital today and get an encephalogram, what's that? That's the memory of your conscious mind. It's on the CD. Let's download it on this being. Now we got a walking, talking duplicate that has the total memory that you have, because we just took it off of your own mind.
Okay, it's like Blade Runner, the android.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. The only thing is that it's like this DVD recorder. Sometimes you have glitches in it, so you have to have them tuned up occasionally or redone. And so we take them to Camp David, or there's a wing at Bethesda Hospital to just tell you. If you go down there and check, you'll find the nurses, if they're willing to come forth, they'll tell you they work on those people, and they call them the others. I thought it was interesting. They're people. Remember, these people can think and act, but they don't have soul. That's also prophesized.
Right,
Soulless
that's
beings.
true. That's true.
Now we have another agenda that's going on, so you have to be careful of all this. There are many extraterrestrials that would like to be in on the game right now, so they can sometimes will come into these physical beings that we've made to manipulate them.
I see.
So now you have a combination effort that you have to look at, and discernment. You have to discern what the game is. Well, just figure that most of the leaders we have in the world have been bought and paid for or created to think a certain way in the world.
Mm-hmm. Their child star. This is Amanda Bynes we're talking about, formerly of Nickelodeon. Here she is wearing a ratty wig, appearing in court on charges of smoking weed and then throwing her bong out of a 36th floor apartment when police arrived. Bynes insists she is fine, but recent events suggest otherwise. ABC's Gio Benitez is on the story. Gio, sad stuff.
It really is, Dan. This morning, Amanda Bynes denies it all, saying she never tossed anything out through the window. It's a bizarre new case for her growing list of problems, and wait till you see how she showed up in that court.